Shin Young-jun, who plays golf with his colleagues and drinks leisurely. Kang Hyun-nam discovers that he frequently visits an abandoned building chasing Shin Young-jun. And I find something very suspicious about the abandoned building. It was found that the generator of the corpse room was running without stopping. After completing the preliminary survey, Moon Dong-eun informs Ju Yo-jong, who chooses the same path as her and accompanies her. When Ju Yo-jong's financial resources take over the abandoned building and visit, the manager is embarrassed, and they face the truth that Shin Young-jun and Park Yun-jin tried to cover up. Two people think who killed Sun Myung-oh. Moon Dong-eun is 99% sure that it is Park Yun-jin, but hesitates about 1% of anxiety. Ju Yo-jong called Park Yun-jin to the hospital using Choi Hae-jong for Moon Dong. Thus, Ju Yo-jong collects the tissue of the wound such as Park Yun-jin's foot and obtains a DNA sample. Kang Hyun-nam, who is called out from a broadcasting station where Park Yun-jin works, begins to talk about Ju Yo-jong's detailed profile. Park Yun-jin realizes that she knows her face and is surprised that she is the son of the hospital director at Seoul National University Hospital. On this day, Park Yun-jin, who visited Seoul State Hospital, was afraid that Yoon So-hee's body was in the refrigerating room and saw Yoon So-hee's welcome. The next day, Hong Young-hee is suffering from daily texts and phone calls from Lee Suk-jae, and then moves to the National Police Agency to face Shin Young-jun, who has lost contact with him. Surprised, Shin Young-jun goes out to the parking lot as if pulling Hong Young-hee out, and Shin Young-jun, who has lived a life of corruption such as money and prostitution to Hong Young-hee, is now showing his tired expression. That evening, at John Jae-jun's house, he receives a USB file sent by Moon Dong-eun and talks to Moon Dong-eun on the phone. To ignite the conflict between Ha Do-young and John Jae-jun, Moon Dong-eun sent it to Lee John Jae-jun. After reading the USB file of the digital camera of the presumptive issue, John Jae-jun was filled with anger, and the next morning, he hurried to Semyang Elementary School. Semyang Elementary School. Moon Dong-eun completes the work handed over by Sang-ho to leave him at the teacher's office and asks him to review it. John Sang-ho, who was angry at Moon Dong-eun for stopping his hobby, was not interested in the result, and in the end, he couldn't stand it and told Moon Dong-eun to follow him. John Jae-jun, who came to the teacher's office even to the tip of his head, begins to shake his fist, saying that there will never be an agreement with Sang-ho. It was Mr. Kong who helped me in this work. He wanted to correct everything, but he didn't have the courage, so he handed her a USB in the hope that Mundan Jian would solve everything. John Jae-jun, who stops only after seeing his daughter Hazel, and the news reached Ha Do-young, the president of Jaepyeong Construction. Kang Hyun-nam was led to visit a clothing store by her husband, and Lee Suk-jae was excited to make a lot of money. He tells such Lee Suk-jae that there is one more Hyun-nam. Lee Suk-jae runs out of the store alone with excitement. Meanwhile, Kim Kyung-ran's house. Moon Dong-un, who finds Gu Sung he's gangmates again, pays for the previous work and buys drugs from them. This evening at Isara's house, she is about to die of withdrawal symptoms. Isara gets mad at her parents to go to the Netherlands, where drugs are legal. My mother hopes to send Isara to a treatment center, but my father has his own honor, and even in Paris, the Oriental Medical Society's reviews are even more against her because she was famous for drugs and sleeping on the street every day. On the other hand, John Jae-jun is investigated for committing violence against Jo Sang-ho during the day-to-day, but denies the agreement, saying he hit a pervert sexist. His lawyer, in trouble, contacts Ha Do-young of Jaepyeong Construction and receives an agreement. Even if he is a biological father, Ha-young, who does not understand what qualifications he is trying to act as Hazel's father, suppresses his anger, but the brazen John Jae-jun shakes his fist at him. Nothing big happened due to the lawyer's dissuasion, but Ha-young ends her meeting with John Jae-jun, who was ethically and legally ignorant and rude. The next day, the chief of the Seoul National University Hospital reports to the head of the hospital. They want to see the resting and refrigerating rooms for illegal storage of corpses. However, for Park Sang-um, it was about the belief of her husband who died. In the winter of 2004, Ju Song-hak, the father of hospital director Ju Yeo-jong, who saw his mother unable to collect her children due to Yoon So-hee's unfair death, persuaded the manager to put him in the refrigerator until the child's unfairness was resolved one day, even if the hospital low. If there is any inconvenience, our hospital staff suffer, and we don't have to file an internal complaint after 18 years. And most of all, even if we report it to the district office or the Ministry of Health and Welfare. Why did he call the police? I don't know, we have to check when we get a complaint. The body, you just have to move it to the mortuary. I'm the complainant. You know what I mean, right? You admit that you arbitrarily moved the body in the resting room to the freezer without the consent of the bereaved, right? Your intentions of freezing are unclear. You may have frozen it for illegal research or other impure purposes. The body, it must be returned to the mortuary. No, if there is an offense, I will be punished, but he won't move the body. His resentment has not been addressed. That's the intention. It's pretty clear, isn't it? Meanwhile, Youngmi also contacts Ju Yojong, who is close to her daughter, with the intention of taking money. But Ju Yojong, who is suspicious of her intentions, calculates her meals and leaves. Park Youngjin returns home, but finds out that her daughter went to her grandmother's house, not school, and asks, "Ha Do-young?" However, Ha Do-young applies for an injunction against John Jae-jun over yesterday, suppressing her anger toward Park Youngjin. But her shameless attitude explodes again even after giving her a child who has died due to an affair. And the curling iron she prepared, Jong Mi-hee, starts to burn hot. Evening at Semyeong Elementary School. Mundong is busy with work. Soon after, however, her classmates come and she finds out that her mother, Jong Mi-hee, has been given a rural fortune, and she visits home, but is frustrated to see her luxury with the money she has earned from selling her. Thus Moon-dong loses her will to life once again due to the successive betrayal of her mother, Jong Mi-hee. John Jae-jun comes to Moon Dong-eun, who cries in deep despair after being betrayed by her mother, who is her only blood. He is angry that he deceived himself, defaming her with the bribery case of Moon Dong-eun, mentioning that Ha Do-young came to the police station the day before. Fortunately, Ju Yojong's intervention forces John Jae-jun to be dissuaded, and takes her home safely. It was Ju Yojong who wanted to soothe and heal her with indelible wounds today, but she's struggling because it's not an easy matter to intervene. Ju Yojong feels that Youngmi-hee's intention to text her was not sincere, and the day passes with sympathy for Moon Dong-eun's sadness. The The next day, Songhan Faith Church. Kong Hyun Nam informs Park Yeon-jin that Moon Dong-un visited the church in Isara. And Moon Dong-un asks the gang members for the drugs they bought yesterday, puts them on the underground chapel, and contacts Isara. This is a director who just gets his throat in the inevitable temptation of drugs. Isara, who was suffering from withdrawal, ends up making the impulsive choice of taking drugs placed in the underground chapel. And the memory of the day. "You were like a dog that day," passed by Sun Myung, who said Isara, and the moment she got more and more drunk on drugs with a rising libido. With Moon Dong-un's accusation, people gather and move are now given an indelible honor. And Park Yeon-jin, who heard the news, is shocked by what Moon Dong-un has done. But let's pretend to be calm and hang on to the best of our ability. And Moon Dong-un accuses Park Yeon-jin of all internet sites in Korea. And to an angry Park Yeon-jin, Moon Dong-un, convinced that Park killed Sun Myung, becomes a ruthless incarnation and taunts her.